this video, I'm happy to share some of my study and preparation tips which I have adopted myself to pass both the Part 1 and Part 2 of the CMA exam. Hopefully, this will be of value to whoever needs to hear it. As you all know, passing the CMA exam is not a walk in the park. Just like any exam, it definitely requires discipline, perseverance, and adequate preparation on your end. So now, let's take a look at some of these tips which I have also adapted when I did my preparation when I took the CMA examination. If properly implemented, rest assured that these tips will help you succeed in your CMA journey. Tip number 1. Assess the complexity of the exam content and your familiarity of the topics and your existing knowledge. So for this tip, basically I want you to go through the syllabus, survey and assess the complexity of the exam content, and assess your familiarity of the topics and your existing knowledge. The main objective here is to determine the extent of your existing knowledge so you can devise a suitable study plan and know which items to focus on. Since some of you are accounting or finance graduates or students, there are certain topics which you are already familiar with or certain topics which already have strong background or knowledge. Doing this will help you save time and use that time instead on more complex topics or on new topics which you don't have an existing knowledge yet. Survey the syllabus to know which topics you need to allocate more time or which topics you need to focus on. Also, you have to assess the complexity of the topics. There are certain topics which require more study time. For instance, those topics which have many formulas which you need to get familiarized with or which you need to memorize. For these complex topics, you need more study time to get familiarized with the formulas, to do practice tests in order to gain mastery of the subject matter. Tip number 2, make a study plan and get organized. As the famous saying goes, a goal without a plan is just a wish. After you do my tip number 1, now you need to make a study plan and organize yourself. The amount of study time for the CMA exam depends on your assessment of the complexity of the exam content and your familiarity of the material and the extent of your existing knowledge. You should take studying seriously, most especially if you wish to pass the CMA exam on your first try. In addition, you should assess yourself and know which study technique works best for you. For instance, some CMA candidates learn best when they recite the topics, while some learn best when they summarize the topics and write their own outline or notes. Also, you should fully commit to fit study time into your current schedule, especially if you are a working professional who is also busy working and studying at the same time. Again, you need to assess which study technique works for you. Some people like to study in small sessions, while some prefer to study over a long period of time. Basically, it's all about knowing yourself, about how you learn best and how you are able to retain information and aligning your study plan based on it. So how many hours of study time do you need? Well, it actually depends on many factors. For instance, your familiarity with the exam content, your existing knowledge, and the number of study time you have in a particular day, since some of you are working professionals who have full-time jobs. So I'm gonna make a separate video for a more detailed suggested study plan to help you succeed in your CMA journey. I'm gonna release it after this video, so to keep yourself updated, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and click the notification bell to get you notified every time I release a video. Tip number 3, understand the core concepts and memorize the formulas. So before you proceed in answering all the practice tests, the mock exams, it is important to have a clear understanding of the exam content, the core concepts, and the formulas. This is very important to have the basic knowledge of the exam content so that Regardless of the type of questions that are given to you, you are able to answer it by going back to the basics. Some questions are very tricky and you won't be able to answer if you don't have the proper foundation of the topic. For instance, if you have limited time, before you go answer all the mock exams, all the practice test questions, ensure to have proper foundation of all the topics first so that you'll be able to answer any questions that are given to you. Some chapters are theoretical, hence you need to have basic knowledge to retain the information. While some chapters have several formulas which you need to memorize or get familiarized with, otherwise you will not be able to answer the questions. Tip number 4, practice, practice, practice. After you have gained a strong foundation of the topics, I highly recommend that you answer all of the practice quizzes, mock exams, in the test banks, and review answer explanations for incorrect answers. Answering the practice tests and the mock exams will definitely help you to learn and how to manage your test taking time. Since there are 100 multiple choice questions which you need to answer, both in part 1 and part 2 exam, you need to manage your time very well so that you don't take too long in answering some of the questions. Take note, you cannot proceed to the essay section unless you score at least 50% of the MCQs correctly. Just an additional tip, if you encounter a difficult question, it's important to keep going and not to get stuck. As much as possible, make an intelligent guess. And if you finish early, you can have a second round to review those questions which you are unsure or to review those questions which you have left blank. Practicing is the best way to identify your weak areas. It signifies the topics which you need to go back and get familiarized with. Hence, for all incorrect answers that you got, it's important that you review all the answer explanations in order to determine where and how you got your answers wrong. Now for the essay section, in case you run out of time, do not leave any question unanswered. You can at least put the outline of your answer in order to get partial points. Same as well for computational questions, you can at least put the formulas in order to get partial points. Tip number 5, find a study buddy. It's quite helpful to have a study buddy whom you can be accountable, for instance, about your progress. And having a study buddy is very helpful for you to share resources, for instance, on some topics which you may have a weakness. I hope you were able to internalize all these tips. The CMA exam is indeed challenging. However, it is absolutely doable if you put proper preparation and study time. I would like to leave you with this quote by Tony Robbins. The path to success is to take massive, determined actions. I have linked all my videos and my CMA US playlist in the description box for more information. If you like this video, hit like, share, and subscribe. Till next time.